thank you for joining us for another episode of This Is Sus. I am here with my lovely co-hosts,
Nicole
and Lori.
And I am April, which maybe you know, maybe you don't, I don't know. Welcome. But first off, I wanted to mention a few episodes ago, I had a decision to make, and it was to scrap it all together or to post it. And it was because I was half in the frame and mistakes were made. Obviously this is a new podcast and we're all learning.
We're working out the kinks.
I'm working out the kinks. And you know what? Poby's nerfed and we're getting there. We're getting there. Mistakes may be made in the future, but we're
maybe
working
even
on
this
it.
episode. Who knows?
Maybe
even this episode. Who knows?
Well, hopefully not. We have taken measures. Extensive measures to make sure that I'm not half in the frame. So yeah. Anyway, without further ado, let's get started with our whatever this is.
So what was the decision? Did you scrap it or keep it?
Oh,
that's a great question.
I figured the stories were good.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm going to keep it.
Yes.
That's why I'm talking about it.
Maybe just listen on Spotify. You don't need to watch it on
for the
video.
people who are listening on Spotify, you will not know that I was half in there. And don't go watch it or do whatever you want to do.
Whatever tickles your fancy.
Yeah. Previous episode, half in the screen. I am fully aware. Sometimes when I'm leaning this other way, it's good. But yeah. Anyway, let's do the icebreaker. Who first? I feel like you always point to me. I feel like I always
last time.
I feel like I wasn't. That's okay.
Yeah, you feel a lot of things.
What?
So many feelings.
What is the silliest thing you're afraid of, Nicole?
Silliest?
Yeah, the silliest thing. Like, why would you be afraid of that?
I mean, I can't think of more than the usual, like spiders. I do have a serious fear of April because she's taking great pains to like scare me in different ways over time.
I'm an innocent person in this.
And like peeking around the corner with her cell phone to see if I'm coming.
I learned that on a show called Burn Notice. It's like from the 2000s, I don't know, the early mid 2000s. So there was a spy and his name was Michael Weston, and he was like decent looking, but he would like teach people how to be a spy. And so I watched that, and I watched it with Nicole. And so, yeah, I learned how to do that. That was pretty good.
And then she scared me and I jumped on the concrete and like twisted my ankle.
Oh no.
Yes, I was no help with that either. I just laughed at you.
So I don't know if that's a silly fear, but it's a legit fear. Legit.
You have a fear of that I'm going to pop out of somewhere that you're not expecting?
I mean,
like a Jack in the Box?
Reasonable.
I don't know. I feel like it's the only time that's ever happened.
Anyway,
okay,
next person.
Moving on. Maybe.
Oh, that's so good. Here, you can take the next one.
Okay. Oh. This is actually a good question for you, Lori.
Oh, okay.
If you could replace all the grass in the world with something else, what would it be and why?
Oof. That's heavy. I mean,
why is that heavy?
This is the girl that's dreaming of like individually seeding and replanting her entire lawn.
It's true. It's a very accurate statement.
Wait, by individually seeding, do you mean like taking a singular grass seed and placing it down with love?
Well, it's not each one individual. However, it's like you put it in a green thing, and then you do this, like you twist your wrist, and then it spreads them out, and every seed that gets sprung out, I wish it well, and I hope that it flourishes.
I think what has to
and
be
then
said
how
here
many times
is,
a day do you water it?
Oh, well, in the summertime, I would set an alarm on my phone for 9 different times a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I did not want it to get dry. But that's the thing is you have like if the dirt gets dry, it won't grow. So like my goal was to make sure that the dirt was moist all day.
Okay. So now if you had to tear that out and replace it and every grass in the world, what would you
I'm torn because you don't want sand. That would be hot in the summer. Like you just can't escape.
And
the
imagine
sand.
how many random animals would take a poop in your sand yard. And
I didn't even think about
Yeah.
that. It'd be like the world's a litter box.
it is like, so sand is out. What else?
Sand is out.
I poo-poo that.
I don't really like clover because clover, like you can't really go on your bare feet.
But
on
imagine all
clover.
the 4-leaf clovers you could get.
It's true, but also they'd be everywhere.
Okay, next. What is your next option?
My next option. Well, I'm not gonna lie. My first immediate option was just like palm trees, just like plant them everywhere. Just don't even worry
Little
about it.
mini ones, that'd be so cute.
Just like little
Again, you
cute little
can't walk on that with your bare feet if that was your thing.
That is true.
You don't want to lay in a bed of.
Can you imagine it though?
No, that'd be weird.
I just love that we're opening this by talking about how grass grows.
In case you didn't
Compelling stuff.
Yes, that's what we're here for. We're here for all of the things, including horticulture or
Okay,
whatever
let's
it's
move
called.
on. Although
Yeah.
you never really gave us an answer, I'll just say that.
That's
Palm
true.
trees.
Palm trees are my first opinion.
Okay,
in my
we
head.
won't poo-poo that. Sorry, I'm not trying to be mean.
So supportive.
I'm a supportive
It's
friend.
okay. I'm here for it. April, what is your favorite weekend trip?
I know the listeners at home, maybe people who I don't want to say what my first reaction was.
And now we want to know. It's a little sus.
It is a little sus.
Yeah.
I don't know who's gonna watch this though, and it has to do with maybe a weekend trip. Okay, let's get into this. In my mind, something else other than the first initial thing. There's this where we live. There's this like little like lake by Squamish, and I really like going in there. It's like you can't camp there or anything, but
Like a day use type
yeah,
thing?
lake, but it's like it's really really nice and it's deep and it's usually not super busy. However, it is a little bit busy, but it's just a little lake and it's really nice to just go swimming and have a little barbecue there. So if I was gonna do like a weekend trip, maybe around Squamish area. Also, another time we went down to we go down to the States sometimes, like Seattle, go around there, like weekend trip, spend all our money, and then come home and feel broke.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, weekend trip to a lake, or where my boyfriend barbecues and feeds me, and everyone else who I drag along, and then also to Seattle. That's good.
Those are very good choices.
Yes.
Very good choices.
All right, let's throw these back. Okay, so first story. I already forgot who's going first.
That would be me.
That'd be her. All right. Let's get
Okay,
into
so
it.
the first suspicious story of today is from Reddit. The username Supreme Smile. It's titled, "My wife wants to raise our 1-year-old and our newborn as twins." That's how we're starting today, folks. A few weeks ago, my second son was born. He was somehow born on the exact day my 1-year-old was born. I thought this was just a neat coincidence and joked about how much money we would save on birthday parties. My wife, however, is taking it a lot more seriously. She's set on the idea of raising our 2 boys as twins. She's always wanted twins, and she said the fact that they were born on the same day is a sign from God. She says if they're raised as the same age, they would be able to go to school together, having each other's backs and believing that they could be closer as twins rather than siblings. I told her I'd rather not psychologically torture my son for the rest of his life, but she's adamant that we will tell him when he's grown up, and it's only so he can be closer to his brother now. I also brought up that they clearly do not look the same age, and she says by the time they're 1 and 2, no one will be able to tell the difference. Does she have any sort of point? End of story.
First, twins are siblings. So if they're raised as twins or sibling, like I understand that there is a slight difference there, and there is a difference, but raised as, her point was they'll be closer as twins than siblings. They're both siblings.
Yeah.
No matter what, they are siblings.
I just feel like the level of crazy is pretty high.
I agree.
So- Say you do this. Say they keep it a secret during their babyhood. I mean, I don't know if they've told their friends that they've had a baby, but they're going to rewrite this whole story. And then for their entire growing up lives, one child is always going to feel like it's lagging behind the other.
Absolutely.
Smaller, developmentally slower. You know, the one who's held back from going into kindergarten in grade 1 will seem brilliant. And then the one will just be the normal child and will always be in the older one's shadow. Not to mention the fact that, I mean, I don't know what it's like in the States, but in Canada, you know, your child's birth certificate is registered.
Yeah.
And they'll be calling you if you're not going to school. And so I don't know how she can. I just think this is just a very selfish desire that doesn't think through the consequences.
The thing is that you didn't have twins. You had you didn't have twins. And you're right, it is a really selfish desire to like to rewrite history. The amount of lying that goes into that, and the amount of, one, those kids can never see baby pictures, or like I guess they could if they were like, oh yeah, these were taken at the same time, and then they just like chop off the date format on them. Like, I don't know. I guess maybe I'm like aging myself and maybe I don't have the date format anymore, but it's just so weird that it's just a little unhinged. And I think she should seek therapy.
Yeah, I would say that's not a healthy. Like, it's one thing to daydream about that, like, oh, I wish they were twins, but to actually suggest it, to actually want to follow through with that is not healthy in any way.
Yeah.
Their whole marriage will be turned around into this lie. He clearly doesn't want to do it, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I think like there are these other stories out there, or other people who have had their parents simply, they've been adopted, or they were never told that they were adopted. And so all of these little things that have happened throughout their life that didn't make sense and that they were lied to about suddenly make sense, and it all slams into place for them, because it would, as soon as you take a child's autonomy away,
Yeah.
it's not their choice. It, like, as soon as that child is born, or even, you know, whatever, we're just going to go with that, their autonomy is there. So you can't make a choice for them that like they are not able to make. It's your duty to protect them and to teach them and to do that to the best of your ability. And that's not to the best of your ability. That's your own selfish reasons. That's not for them.
What are your thoughts, Lori?
My thoughts are, I agree that she is being very selfish. It is one thing, you know, when you're a kid and you play Barbies and you know, always play that you have twins. Like, I did that. Whenever I was playing Barbies and I had children, I had twins, sometimes triplets, right? It was just what I did. But I would never make my children think that they are twins, because that it kind of erases the first year of that firstborn child. It just completely, she's just wanting to erase that they existed for a year. And like you say, there is going to be developmental differences. There is a huge difference between a 1-year-old and a newborn baby. There
Absolutely.
is massive, like
Even a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old.
even
Absolutely.
100%, even a 14-year-old and a 15-year-old, they are different.
Yes.
You are not going to be at the same level ever in your life. So that would be so confusing. And then she wants to tell them when they're adults that they're not actually twins. That, I feel like that would be detrimental to their
Absolutely.
mental
Yeah.
health, you know? So I definitely just can't.
Yeah, surefire way to fuck up your children.
Yeah.
Really, it is. Like, that is my bottom line, is this will damage your children, their marriage. There's nothing positive that will come out of this,
Yeah.
except this lady's
Delusion.
Yeah.
wish.
Yeah.
The thing is when you have kids, you're going to mess up your children because you have never been in that position in your life before.
Yeah.
You are learning as you go, just as everybody else is learning as they go. And why would you introduce something that is just absolutely bizarre that you do not need to do? Because in daily life, your daily decisions, how you communicate with them, how you do that. Like, I remember things that my family has, or like somebody in my family has said to me, and I understand now that they were in their first time in their position in that life,
Yeah.
in their life.
Yeah.
But when I was younger, I didn't realize that. And so when they told me or said something that I felt was unfair, it shaped my personality. It shaped, you know, if I was self-conscious or if I was, you know, everything like that. And so you're going to do something that is so extreme that you do not need to do.
Yeah.
You can avoid all of that
Yeah.
by just raising them as siblings
Yeah.
and dress them the same
Well,
when
and-
they're young. You can do that. People do that all the
Yeah,
time. But you don't have to
exactly.
say they're twins. You can say they're like twins. It's just the like portion that you need to add in there.
Well, and my question is, and I didn't have time to actually look this up, but I believe Irish twins are a thing where, like, if the child is born within a year of the other one being born, they're known as Irish twins.
Yeah,
Because
they don't even have to be born on the same day to be Irish
no,
twins.
no, no,
Yeah.
it's just like within a year.
Yeah.
Like my husband's grandma, she was born, and then her sister was born like 11 months later. And I know for a fact that they're known as Irish twins.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she didn't even know that. I told her that just like 6 months ago.
Yes.
But yeah, so I'm wondering if, I don't know if like a 1-year mark is the cutoff for that or how that works, but like technically she could say that they are Irish twins, and therefore she's able to say that they are twins, but just not.
As long as they understand the difference, is that you're
Yeah.
not actually twins, but you're what people call Irish twins. And so you are a year older, and not lying about that 1 year difference and that 1 year, like you said, developmental difference.
Well, as you were talking about, how we're shaped by what we overhear people say. So the older one will be like, he'll hear like, he's such a big boy. And the younger one, he's so much smaller. You don't want things like that. These are the
No.
things that are going to really injure a child over time,
Yeah.
And they actually have an incredible story. 2 siblings, 2 brothers, I think, born exactly the same day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
apart.
1 year apart. I think that's really amazing. Like,
Yeah.
that's an amazing story. And
It
then
really
you can say,
is.
this is our story of our Irish twins. I had him on this day, and then exactly 1 year later, his little brother came.
Yeah,
I
it
think
was-
that's an amazing story.
It's a very cool story. It's a very interesting and neat situation. And I think she should be excited about the fact that that was a possibility for them and their family.
Do you have any comments that you want to read? Or
Oh, right. Yeah. So there are no updates because this story was just submitted 11 hours ago.
Fresh one.
It's a freshie. It's a
Okay.
freshie. So, but the top comment has 6,000 likes already. It's juicy, right?
Yeah.
It's from Bus98. Sorry, but this is ridiculous. Why set yourself up to constantly lie to your kids? One will think he is much more advanced and the other one more behind than the other and end up resenting each other and you. Don't you underestimate the importance of honesty it has on a child's development and security. And another thing, no one else will keep this lie up. Family and friends will point out the inaccuracy and cause further resentment.
Exactly.
yeah,
Imagine cutting somebody out of your life because they're not going to lie to your kids for you.
like grandparents, everything.
Or like
Yeah.
imagine if there's like an aunt or an uncle and they're like, you want a what? No, I'm not doing that. And like, what if one side does it and they're like, well, I'm sorry, we're going to have to cut off your toxicity from my family. Like,
this could actually break that marriage because he wouldn't want to do that.
he doesn't want to.
No, he doesn't want to do it. And I don't blame him for not wanting to do it. I think it's actually a very stand-up thing for him to not think that it's okay. Because it doesn't seem like he's just going to go along with it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like he's going to not allow.
You know
From my perspective, I don't know.
She just needs to get a fucking hobby and do that or something. Like, I don't know. She's got to focus somewhere else and not on this crazy shit.
Well, I mean, she has spent most of the last 2 years pregnant and probably nursing.
Yes.
Maybe she's postpartum, but you're right. Like, she needs something different to focus on.
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
And some
this ain't
serious,
it.
like some counseling. Some counseling.
Yes.
I would highly suggest getting some counseling for her because it's one thing to have it as an idea, but to actually want to see it through is another thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and have like a serious conversation.
Yeah.
If somebody's like, hey, if somebody sat me down and they were like, hey, you know what? If my sister sat me down and she said to me, I want you to pretend that my kids, who are a year's difference in age, are that they're twins, I'd be like, what? What are you smoking over there? What the fuck?
Yes.
That's so weird.
Yes.
Yeah.
Smack her up the head.
Yeah. She probably would need it, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I want to know where we stand on the sus meter for this story.
Okay.
So we have our sus meter and we need to know where do we stand.
I definitely think it's more side-eye for me.
Okay.
It's like I have opinions within that, but it's like I think that she's just mentally unstable and I feel like she can be reasoned with. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'd put her as sketchy. Definitely sketchy. Okay, so side A's, like, you think about this idea as more than just a little fantasy, in my opinion. Sketchy's like, she's trying to convince him to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if they go forward, call child services. That's all I have to say.
What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna side on sketchy because because we don't know exactly where the story is gonna go. We don't know if she's, really gonna try and go through with this, and maybe he's going to do what he can to not allow. Like because there's a lot of unanswered questions,
Yeah,
and
that's-
I feel for the children in this situation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with sketchy.
Yeah, I feel like he hasn't brought up divorce or anything like that. That's why I
Yeah.
kind of went on the other side. So we'll do it like right in the middle of
Yeah.
side-eye and sketchy. It depends on how serious she is.
Yeah.
How much she pushes it. Like, if we
Exactly.
see an update down the road and she's like,
Yeah.
she's leaving me because I won't do this.
Then that's like what the sus for me.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But like
Yes.
if she's like
Reasonable.
if she's like, okay, no, I understand, like all of like I've read these Reddit comments and I realize now that I'm a dumbass, then I'm like, yeah, there's just side eye on that comment. But you know, if it's like I really want to do this and she's like a little upset that she never was able to, that's definitely sketchy as fuck.
Yeah.
You should post your Irish twins thing in there too as an option for them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I could
For maybe
comment
her
that.
to like latch right onto.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I should.
Yeah.
I will actually
Yeah.
comment that because it's a real thing, and I will look it up before I will
Yeah.
look it up before I comment
Yeah.
to make sure that like I am kind of right on that, because I know for sure 11 months they're still classified as Irish twins. So I want to say it's like a
I mean,
1 year cut.
Who cares?
But it
Just
works.
make it up.
It
Make
works.
yours.
Irish twins sounds better than your real twins, folks.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I have saved the story on my Reddit, so I will continue to watch
Yeah.
to see if there are updates, and we'll
We'll
we're
do an
talking
update
about-
episode of
yeah.
whatever stories we're doing if there's any
Yeah.
updates.
Yeah.
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 So stay tuned.
Stay tuned for the update episode.
Nice.
All right.
Okay. So, have you two seen Zootopia?
Yes.
Okay, wait. Is that a newer movie or an older movie?
It's about 10 years old,
It's a cartoon.
featuring the bunny Judy Hopps. You love it?
I love that. I actually
seen
one of my
it.
absolute favorite songs ever is
Yeah?
from that movie. So
Okay,
Oh.
sing a portion of it for me so I can see if I know it.
hold on, it's coming.
La, la, la. Do you need a beat?
Um,
I don't know if that was the right beat.
it's a Shakira song.
Shakira, Shakira.
Oh my God, why
What
can't
is
I
it
think of
called?
Any of the
Pause. I would like it to be known. I wanted Lori to sing for you.
Okay.
Nicole
Lori
doesn't
can
want
sing.
you to.
Lori can sing.
No, it's okay. It's totally okay. It's totally okay. But the song is called "Try Everything" by Shakira, and you should look it up. It is
Yes.
a phenomenal song.
You should
Yeah.
try it.
Copyright, we can't play it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, Judy Hopps, the bunny in Zootopia, got a restraining order against someone.
Tell us more.
So I'm sure you know Jennifer Goodwin. She's
Yes.
the voice behind Judy Hopps, and she starred in movies and shows such as Big Love, Once Upon a Time, and Why Women Kill.
Right.
So she's also well known for her role as the rabbit Judy Hopps in the film Zootopia. Well, last year, Disney started filming Zootopia 2. And once again featured Jennifer as Judy Hopps. As I was scrolling through TikTok the other day, a video from one of the minor voice actors popped up. Minor, I can't actually find his last name anywhere. On TikTok, he calls himself Bradley Uppercrust III. And it looks like his real first name is Nicholas. So I'm going to read this video out exactly as he spoke it. He said, "I have received a restraining order from the actress Jennifer Goodwin. So as most of you know, I have been hard at work in the studio recording for Zootopia 2. I'm part of the Zootopia 2 cast, and we recently started voice recording. As most of you also know, Jennifer Goodwin plays Judy Hopps in Zootopia. So one day, me and Jennifer, we were just talking, we were chatting, and the topic of TikTok came up, and she asked me if I'd had a TikTok, and I said yes. And she said, "Oh, really? What's your handle?" And I said, "Judy Hopps Lover 69. And she looked at me and she said, "You're serious?" And I said, "Yes, I'm serious. You can look it up." And see, when I told her, I thought she would think it was funny, but then she looked it up, and then she went really silent. And then the only thing she said after that was, "I have to go." And then she packed up her things and left. The next day I found out that I was blocked on all of her social media accounts. And then today I got a letter in the mail, and it was a restraining order filed in the state of California from Jennifer Goodwin to me, stating that I cannot go within 100 yards of Jennifer Goodwin anymore. So yeah, Jennifer, if you are watching this, if you could unblock me so we could talk this out. I mean, we're still filming the movie, so this poses a lot of issues, okay? Then a few days later, he posts a screenshot of a text message that he received from Disney that read, "Hello, Nicholas. We have seen your TikTok page and would like to have a discussion. What is the best way to contact you?" So Nicholas is freaking out at this
I feel like
point.
he's gonna get fired.
Yeah,
for a
in the comments he
stupid-ass
says,
joke.
"Well, Disney's going to sue me to the ground."
And Jennifer Goodwin is so sweet.
She's so sweet. Like I would want to be her friend.
I wonder, okay, how unhinged is this whatever like other page that like whatever Judy Hopps Lover, like what is that?
You know, I'm sorry if you're watching this. I got to be honest. I don't find it that interesting. It's this young guy, maybe in his 20s, who just posts random stuff. He's got a Reddit that also just posts like nothing too compelling. I checked, and Judy Hopps Lover 69 is still his handle on TikTok and Reddit. There's also a change.org page with a petition titled "Include TikToker Judy Hopps Lover 69 in the cast of Zootopia 2" that has a little over 8,000 signatures.
Okay.
There was no public response about this from Jennifer, but Disney did call Nicholas.
And what did they say?
Well, before we did that, let's talk about this. What are your thoughts?
You know, sometimes your jokes don't land, and instead of letting it go, he should have been like, no, I'm kidding. You know? Because if he didn't actually know what that TikTok page was, when you think about what it could be, it may be very bad. Like how bad it could be, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's uncomfortable, really. Like,
Also,
it's so crazy.
I imagine that she is obviously a bigger name in this casting, right? This guy is a really small actor. I imagine that through her career, she has dealt with a lot of weirdos, and she is also a woman in the industry. Mm-hmm. And I think that perhaps, you know, he could have been a little bit more sensitive to, you know, thinking before he speaks, especially if they don't know each other well. It sounds like if they actually knew each other, this probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And in like the first, if in the first maybe 2 or 3 conversations that I have with this person, they make this stupid joke, and then I look and it's really weird, like young guys doing like different things. Like it could be that like that reminds her of some other stalker she had or something. Like I definitely don't I don't begrudge her for protecting herself. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think she's entitled to feeling like she has to protect herself, because, you know, when you are in the public eye and you don't know these people, even if you are working with them in some capacity, you know, if you feel uncomfortable, you feel uncomfortable. So if she felt like she needed to get a restraining order for her own safety, like, it's not a big deal. Yeah. You know, it's just not a big deal.
Also, this is super one-sided. It's just this is what he said happened.
Yeah. That's right. This is a story from his perspective. We don't know her perspective of it, right? And but it does.
The only perspective we know is that whatever happened in that conversation and whatever she saw appeared to be strong enough for her to leave right away and get a restraining order.
She felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And she has every right to feel that way.
The history of her as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
The history that she has, knowledge, like if you know her in the industry, her like what she's known for is being very kind, polite, like sweet. It's not in her character that is outward that I know of to do something so extreme and have like such an extreme reaction.
Yeah.
Such an extreme reaction. So
yeah.
Anyway, go ahead, Nicole.
I just think, like, imagine you're having a conversation with someone you don't really know. Young guy.
Yes.
And you're like, what's your TikTok handle? And he's like, Judy Hopps Lover 69. And you look it up, and it actually is. Like, imagine that shock. Like, you think he was joking, but it's not. This guy, in the past, has gone and made that. And if it was just Judy Hopps Lover, it's like LOVR. So it could be like, I love this character. But you add that...
Like a fan page.
Exactly.
Like
you add
page.
that 69 on it.
It
and
has
that
a
changes
different
everything.
connotation.
Everything.
100%.
So I could see why she walked away, and why she felt uncomfortable.
Yeah, especially with like recently when all of these women are coming out in the Hollywood industry with being, you know, with men taking advantage, getting them to do, you know, specific scenes or whatever it is. She has been in the industry a long time, and that has obviously happened to her in some degree. How could it not have?
Yeah.
And so even if it's some small potatoes guy saying this to her, I absolutely appreciate that, because you have to be, if you are hired from Disney, you have to be of the utmost respectful to everybody who you work with. I wouldn't make a joke like that to my boss or to somebody who
I
obviously
would change my handle that very second and apologize.
I would be like, no, it was a complete joke. I was kidding. Terrible joke. I'm so sorry.
I'm actually going to change it like today. I just thought it would
And
be
is that
funny
actually
or whatever.
his
It's
handle?
still, like, I looked it up today on both Reddit and TikTok. It's still his handle. This guy is owning it.
He's like doubling down on ridiculous stupidness.
So let me read you some
Wow.
comments.
Yeah.
So I looked at the top comments, and this is what really was interesting to me, is you can really divide them down gender lines. Men. Wait, so you're literally going to be in Zootopia too?
God.
I don't know who Jennifer Goodwin is, so I checked, and I would love to receive a restraining order as well. And another guy, no way he's in Zootopia. I won't believe it until I see it. Those are some of the top men's comments.
It's just the toxic masculinity for me.
Women. I'd be creeped out too, to be honest. Another one, this is stalker behavior. Another one, who is Jennifer? That handle is super stalky. She chose the bear. And my personal favorite, one day this guy is going to commit atrocities in the name of Judy Hopps, and we all never took him seriously. Yeah, it's interesting how women perceive this straight from his own mouth, right? This is his own video, straight from his own mouth, how women perceive it different than men.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think it's just speaks to like how, especially because men always assume that women are like overreacting whenever they do something to protect themselves. And I won't say always assume, but I mean, the dumbasses on the internet will likely, there are going to be several that assume that this woman is overreacting because they don't understand a woman's perspective at all.
Yeah.
Like, they can't actually understand that, like, even that, it's like that not all men term that men get all upset about, but it's like, it is all men because we don't know which man is the one. If we don't know you, we don't know which kind of man you are.
And that handle does not help.
No, the whole
No.
sexual connotation behind it, and then the doubling down is just, it's just beyond stupid. And good on you, Jennifer Goodwin. You're not watching this likely ever, but I'm behind you.
Yeah, I approve 100%. I think you did the right thing.
Do you guys want to hear what Disney said?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do.
So he actually was in the car and recorded the conversation on video. There was someone there with him. I've just picked out the important part. Basically, Disney, they say hi and stuff, and then Disney says, well, I just want to alleviate your worries and say that you're not in any kind of trouble. We've seen your TikToks, and we want to assure you that you can continue making content if you wish to. However, we did want to let you know that while you are allowed to continue making TikToks, selling merchandise with our likeness attached to it is not allowed.
Of course Disney's worried about that.
Nicholas, okay, yeah, I was not planning on doing that. Disney, do you have any questions for me before I end the call? Him, no, I don't think I do. That was
that
Disney's response.
I mean, so he still has a job?
I guess so. Like I said, like I Googled his name.
I feel...
You know, I tried to Google. I couldn't figure out quite who he was, but I'm assuming he is still
I don't know. I
doing
feel like
the
somebody...
minor voiceovers for some of these Disney
I
characters.
feel like for somebody who's trying to save face, they will definitely cut videos if he's like cut out portions of the video if he was like edit the video to make him look better.
It didn't really look like that. It looked like somebody's holding a cell phone on him like a car, and he was super relieved at the end. But I mean, in my mind,
Also, how do we know that call was from Disney?
we don't. We
Yeah.
actually don't. Like,
Yeah, that's
all of
true.
this is all his perspective. He could have made the
Yeah.
whole thing up.
Yeah, we still don't even know if he's actually in the movie because, like you say,
I'll be
you're
watching
having
those
a hard
credits.
time locating his last name, and he's an actor. So
I think he's
I'm-
probably like the mouse in the background or whatever, you know, or
Yeah.
the little
And I mean,
voices.
honestly, through COVID, they did whole movies like Encanto where they didn't even go into a studio for the majority of it and see each other.
Yeah, I
So, I
guarantee
mean-
some of that is still happening now, where somebody's filming something else in Ireland or whatever, and they can still be a part of a movie because they just
Yes.
send you the equipment and you just just have a microphone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we don't know for sure if this is a legit situation. I just think it's very interesting.
I think also, like, if you are going to, it depends on whatever their contracts look like, and maybe it's hard for them to, or like at what portion of the recording are they already in? And if he's like a super minor character, like, what's the point of firing somebody if they're literally in there for 2 seconds or within the amount of 1 to 2 minutes in total for a whole 2-hour movie?
Yeah.
Like, what's the point, especially for something that is like, honestly, she did what she needed to do, and maybe that's fine. If it was like a bigger actor or something like that, I feel like, one, they wouldn't be so tactless to put this on the internet, but you know, their PR team would be like, no.
Right?
They'd be like, stop it.
Like, if it's true, he's so minor that they don't even care.
But also he's torpedoed himself in this industry.
He totally has, because you look him up, and this is all that comes up.
Yep. He's going to torpedo him anytime they look him into him. And they don't want to have,
This
issues.
type of drama. They definitely don't want to have
They
this
want
type of
clean
drama.
people when they're in a movie.
For a kid's movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially a movie like Zootopia, you know, it's strong and, you know, it's all about like empowerment and things like that. So, I mean, I can't imagine them keeping somebody on who's acting this way.
Yeah.
It is very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do we think about the sus meter?
Sus meter time. Ooh.
What do you guys think?
I kind of want to say it's on the cusp of side-eye and sketchy, similar to the story that I had, because again, we don't know for sure if it's all legit. We don't know if the phone call was real. We don't know for sure. There's not been like a Disney statement necessarily, I guess, but it's obviously a real thing that Jennifer made a restraining order. You know, that's the sketchy part. I guess
like he never
it.
posted receipts for the restraining order then.
No, and I mean, some people did comment like, "Can you get a restraining order over something that small?"
I mean, probably if she's rich.
If she had all felt threatened by the interaction, I think she could have grounds for it.
Especially if there was extra things that have happened.
Yeah, the entire situation. He could have been super slimy about the way that he was talking to her with that handle. You'd think maybe he's got some slimy aspects to him, right? But I definitely think it's sketchy behavior. For sure. And it's going to become more public too as that movie, you know, comes to fruition as well.
I mean, he also might just be a rage baiter.
Yeah.
And just not have anything to do with the movie at all. And he's just posted this to get, I bet you he gained a ton of followers. Probably he's looking for a very specific demographic of followers and, you know, different things like that. I think either way, to do that and make it up all as a lie, that's sketchy as fuck.
Yeah.
If he does it and he actually did that to Jennifer Goodwin, that's sketchy as fuck. And it's such a weird thing it's just a weird thing in general. What do you think?
I don't think he's actually harmed anyone, so I would give him some serious side-eye.
Yeah.
Bottom line, I think he's a dumbass. And I think he has some real issues with judgment.
Yeah.
I think that it's kind of creepy to sexualize a cartoon bunny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would go with side-eye.
Okay. Well, I think it's 2 against 1.
I can support your sketchy. I can support the sketchy.
The sketchy is supported.
Yeah. Also, sorry if there's a dog barking in the background. That's Ted.
We call
Ted.
it his TED Talks.
Yeah, he's singing us a song, the Shakira, whatever.
Yeah.
Shakira. I don't know what it is.
You're just like Shakira.
No, she does a part of the song where she's like, Shakira. And then she like does her thing. Like, I think it's part of the Hips Don't Lie song. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, now that we've gotten comfortable and taken a drink of our water, we are going to move along. So mine is posted on the Best of Redditor updates. It is posted from over a few years. So I'll just start off. The title is Woman Assaulted, Abandoned for Having Daughters, and Delusional Husband's Version. Wow. So he responds as well. So the first one she posts, also, hold on one second, there's a trigger warning for assault. All right, so to start, the first post she does is called Mother-in-Law Thinks I Cheated on My Husband Because We're Having a Girl. And then she writes, this is from March 11th of 2020. This is a long one, so strap in. I'm 26 female and my husband is 30 male. So she says mother-in-law is 70 years old. My father-in-law, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law had the husband later in life as a last chance to have a kid. So husband has a name like John William Smith V, The name has been passed down for literally generations. I will also mention, as it's important, there has not been a girl born on his side of the family for more than 100 years. There's a huge running joke that the men in his family cannot produce female babies. So as fast forward to our wedding day in 2017, I had a pretty good relationship with mother-in-law up until that point. Wedding was great, beautiful ceremony, funny speeches, everything was great. Honestly, it's just until the end of the night and we're getting ready to leave to enjoy our honeymoon, the honeymoon suite, when she looks me dead in the eye and says, "Now go make us our first," and then insert like the husband's name, like whatever, John William Smith the 5th or 6th, plus an extra Roman numeral. So I nervously laughed and we departed. Well, ladies and gents, I indeed did make a beautiful baby with my husband over the next 2 weeks. And who would have thought, a baby girl? Ooh. Everyone was shocked when we announced that it was a girl. And most of his family denied it up until the morning she was born that she would be a girl. And that's when the horrible comments started. Whenever her husband wasn't around, mother-in-law and her family members will make snarky comments like, "I wonder where she got that nose. It's definitely not my husband's." FYI, my baby, as beautiful as she is strikingly, obviously my husband's. She genuinely looks more and more like him as the first years have gone by, and even more so when she's approaching 2 years old. As well as it would happen, I am now expecting another baby, a second baby, and yet another girl. Oh. I begged my husband not to tell my mother-in-law the gender when we found out, as I just wanted to enjoy a bit more of this pregnancy before she fucking ruined it. I had decided to keep the mean comments his mother made to me about our first daughter to myself, as she was old and in poor health, and I felt guilty about potentially ruining their relationship when she probably didn't have many years left around, to be involved. I figure I'll add that mother-in-law isn't dying or anything. She just has extremely poor health her whole life. So anyways, he insists on announcing it at our next visit, and holy shit, y'all. As soon as she heard it was another girl, tears welled up in her eyes, and she started shaking her head back and forth and sobbing. She then started yelling at me, calling me a whore, and then demanded that I get out of her house. Husband immediately stands up and starts yelling at her back, asking her what her problem is and that she needs to apologize to me and watch her mouth in front of her grandkids because their other daughter is there. Yeah, mother-in-law, unhinged, man.
Wow.
She says through broken wails, "Not ours, not ours. Those girls are not ours. She's a whore. She's a slut. My son did not make those girls." I started crying hysterically and picked up my daughter, who was utterly confused as to why daddy is yelling at grandma and mommy is now crying. Mother-in-law then looks at me and starts yelling, "I let you get away with it the first time. I took you in his family. I allowed my son to believe he fathered that brat, and I will not allow it again."
Oh my gosh.
Do you think it could get worse?
Apparently it can. It goes on for years.
Something I should mention here is that while husband prepared his whole life for having a son, he is thrown on his ass when our daughter was born. He never knew that he could love any girl in the world as much as he loves our daughter. He has made several comments over the past year and a half about how he never knew how deep a love could go before he met our baby girl. And I can 100% assure you that if he had to save me or our daughter or his mom, he would choose our daughter 10 out of 10 of those times. Which, I mean, was pretty good.
Yeah.
He gets extremely pissed and starts screaming at her that she is out of line and how dare she call his daughter names. He then goes on to say that we are leaving, and until she comes to her senses, she will never see any of us again. She starts to say something more, but he cuts her off and yells at her, "By the way, Mom, I love that little girl more than I ever loved you." And as he's shutting the door, or he said that as he's like shuttling us out the door, he says that over his shoulder kind of thing. OP says she cried and broke down, told husband all the little comments that she and her family, or his family, has made over the years and to her, and when he's not around. Basically, she talked the entire two hours drive home, telling him all of this stuff. So he was so angry at them all that he's been amazing, and he's been comforting OP through it. So we went to NC. What is that? NC?
North Carolina?
Okay, we went to NC, possibly North Carolina, probably, for a few months, and then everything seemed to be going great. We blocked her and father-in-law's phone numbers and haven't heard from them. Then, when I was nearing my due date, we decided to be the bigger person and reach out to her and father-in-law and offer them a chance to make things right. She whines and whines that she misses her husband and her granddaughter. We agreed to meet her for dinner at their house. We agreed that their daughter should not be present. So my sister was sent over to OP's house to babysit. So they arrived at the dinner. Dinner is served, and we are trying to all make small talk when her husband says, "Yeah, Mom, this is all being nice, but we need to talk about what happened and the things you said last time we were here. I know, and you owe me and my wife an apology." And so mother-in-law looks at my husband and says, "Yes, do you have the test?" Husband says, "What?" Mother-in-law says, "The paternity test. I'm not apologizing until I'm proven wrong. And we both know I'm right, so you cannot be the father. And the fact that you now have apparently made 2 girls is ridiculous."
Oh my god.
Ridiculous, eh?
I wonder if the mother-in-law was cheating on her husband when she had the son, and he's got some different genes. Anyway, go ahead.
Maybe.
Oh.
So the husband replies with, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Yeah.
I start to cry, and I go to get up and grab my things and go to the car. The mother-in-law responds with, "Oh, no, you don't." She shoots up, rounds the table, grabs my shirt, and then proceeds to scream at me. "How dare you try to run away from this? You are a fucking whore, and you need to own up to this problem." My husband screams at her to get her hands off of me, and she starts to make his way towards us. She then decides I cannot be allowed to leave at any cost with her son, so she slaps me as hard as she can across the face. This woman is pregnant, heavily pregnant, her last month of pregnancy. Keep that in mind while this is happening. She then decides I cannot be allowed to leave at any cost with her son, so she slaps me as hard as she can across the face. I push her arm away from me as I let out a scream from the shock of being slapped. My husband then gets in between me and his mom starts to scream at her. He tells father-in-law to call the cops right now. Father-in-law ignores him and tries to calm down mother-in-law, insisting that we can deal with this. Husband is furious, and I'm crying hysterically. He grabs my hand, and we are making our way to the door when mother-in-law grabs a snow globe from the shelf and throws it directly at me, and it hits me right in the back of my head.
She's pregnant.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It didn't shatter or anything, but it did end up hitting me at the base of my head and cut my head open. I fell to my knees from the pain, and before my husband can put together what has just happened, she's grabbing anything she can to throw in my direction. I'm on my knees on the ground, holding my head with one hand and my belly with the other, being almost 9 months pregnant, as a cascade of random items are being thrown at me. Husband is screaming at the top of his lungs for her to stop, and she proceeds to try to get close enough to kick me as hard as she can. Thankfully, she is old and in bad health, and so she loses momentum very quickly, and as a last resort, husband pushes his mom, and she falls back into a shelf by the front door, and he rushes me out. I'm crying and freaking out and yelling that she kicked my stomach over and over because she's trying to kick, and so maybe she's got to connect it or something. And he drives me to the hospital, and I ended up getting 6 stitches in my head and being monitored at the hospital for 4 days because she did in fact kick my belly. The baby ended up being fine, and the hospital demanded that we file a police report.
Yeah.
When we find out that husband has pushed his mom into the shelf, she ended up breaking 2 fingers and is claiming he used excessive force. He hurt her back and neck very badly. Father-in-law called an ambulance for her, and she claimed that me and husband assaulted her in the doorway after they refused to let us in for free food.
Oh, so she's acting like they're beggars now off the streets.
Yeah, it's like Darvo, where you, instead of, so it's like the abusive person will then switch it and become the victim.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think so far?
This is just story number 1. I'm waiting to see where he flips and becomes delusional. That was the title, right? Delusional husband's response.
Yes.
So I don't even know.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think where does this story go from here, because she's being hospitalized from being attacked, but the mother-in-law is the victim. No. Sorry.
Yeah,
no.
so as of right now where we are in the story, it's just the drama is crazy. And that's not her drama. That's the obvious enmeshment, weird stuff that goes on between her son and
Yeah.
herself.
Yeah.
And the father-in-law too is just, he just seems like this yes man to the mother-in-law.
Well, I mean, I can understand him not wanting to call the police on his wife, but
Yeah.
I mean,
But that's
but not. I wouldn't support her in the whole fake assault either,
no.
There's
You
no
know.
way. There's
No,
no way.
he's like, yep, that's what happened. It seems
right?
yeah, that's
so crazy. I feel like we kind of have to stop and talk about this stuff as it's happening because so much crazy
I just need
shit
to
happens.
breathe. Like it's just like, it's insane. Actually insane. Wow.
So yeah, so far, it's crazy. The whole like let us in for some free food. Oh my god, that would just make me see red.
yeah.
Okay, what happens? What happens?
Okay. So the cops show up and took our side of the story and compared our own report that we filed once we were at the hospital. They told us that mother-in-law is demanding to press charges against my husband for assault.
Son.
Against her son, while we are pressing charges against her. So my husband gets arrested, but then quickly released after father-in-law is forced to tell the truth, and mother-in-law gets arrested for my assault. So eventually the father-in-law says, okay, yeah, they were right. So father-in-law is now begging us to drop the charges as no one was hurt. What? She says, I was fucking hurt and my baby could have been hurt. And that we are being cruel to lock up an elderly woman.
She assaulted her though.
Just because you're elderly and you have issues doesn't mean you can't be held for your actions.
I personally wouldn't keep a 7-year-old woman in jail if it was my option to never have contact with her. But that is a personal choice. That's not a judgment on her keeping
I feel like
charges.
I feel like if you've been called a whore and being maliciously attacked for years at this point.
Yeah.
Not for 4 years, but for years.
I clearly don't have the same level of anger as she does, right?
Yes.
I get that. I do.
Especially
Yeah.
because she kicked her baby.
Oh my gosh.
In the belly.
Yeah.
And like women, if they fall when they are pregnant at 9 months, that baby can die.
Oh yeah, like kicking her in the stomach. I mean, you're right. That's almost an attempt at a murder.
That is
that's exactly where my head went.
what she wanted to do. You are not leaving here. She literally said that. She did not.
Yeah.
If the husband wasn't there, imagine if the husband's like, oh, I'm just gonna step out, go into another room, go to the bathroom. She could have attacked her, and she would have been defenseless.
It could have been. It could have been totally worse.
She
if
got
he
more
wasn't
kicks
there.
in and hurt that baby.
Yeah.
That's why, like, I don't think it's cruel to lock up an elderly woman, and that doesn't mean in jail, but they could institutionalize this bitch.
Yeah.
I would think something like that. Yes. I mean,
I don't personally see a judge putting like a 70-year-old in jail unless she actually went through.
I wouldn't mind her spending a couple nights in lockout though,
Oh,
just
yeah,
to
for sure.
learn a bit of a lesson.
Yes.
And you know what? Having those charges pressed, and you know, she doesn't go to jail, but she has to do some community service. Like there's actually a consequence
yes.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on here. So he insists that we drop the charges and say it was all a misunderstanding, and he does put the mother-in-law into counseling, he says.
How do you put someone into counseling if they don't want it?
Yes, that's why I added the he says.
Okay.
That wasn't in there, but
Right.
yeah, they'll just go in and be the victim in the counseling, and the counselor can't be like telling. They usually deal with your delusional self. They don't deal and be like, they'll just deal with what you're telling them. If
Well,
it's just
there's so
like,
many layers of problems with that lady anyway.
yeah, it's easy to lie to a counselor if you're not there for the right reasons.
Yeah.
So anyway, the thing is, because my injuries were documented in the hospital, we literally can't drop the charges, even if we were stupid enough to do so, because we filed through the hospital and there's no way that it can just go away. The police also, I know in like a lot of situations, even if you have filed a report, sometimes it's not your choice. They're saying here to drop charges. You don't have a choice. The police charge them. You don't charge them.
Yeah.
And so people don't understand that at all sometimes too. So we are currently at home waiting for baby number 2 to arrive, and I'm on strict bed rest order, and husband has taken the week off to help pamper me and take care of my daughter, or our daughter. I asked my husband if once baby number 2 arrives, we should get paternity tests for both and send them to his mom in jail as a huge fuck you. He thinks it's a hilarious idea and thinks we should also make copies and send them to all the relatives who are entertaining his mom's craziness, along with a written letter saying goodbye, and none of them will ever see us or his daughters again. And so, I mean, if the story ended there, what a nice ending.
Okay, so
I'm so nervous about this test.
I mean, yeah, it can't not come back. Anyway, let's hear it.
So basically, father-in-law is making mother-in-law's bail this morning, and she will be released from holding. We are going through with filing a restraining order and no contact order. Husband spoke with an attorney this morning, and the attorney mentioned that it would be a great idea to file for a paternity test through the court. It would be a lot cheaper this way, and there can't be any question about the authenticity this way either.
Ooh.
It is all... And then she says, husband is out right now with daughter number 1 to get me some breakfast and some snacks. I cannot tell you how much I love this man and the family we have made. Family is what you make it. And you don't have to settle for disrespect and seeking approval. He has made me realize how much he truly loves and believes in me at a huge cost. I feel so bad now that he views his mother as a disrespectful despicable stranger. And I hope that me and the girls can continue to fill this new void for him going forward. I'll update in a few weeks once our baby is here. So March 27th, 2020. So this is where it takes a turn for the worst. We are home, and husband has been a rock, very supportive and comforting to me the whole time. We went no contact with mother-in-law and father-in-law, and I genuinely thought he was on my side. I had come up with the idea to do a paternity test on our girls to send them to mother-in-law to get back at her, and it seemed like a great idea. We got in contact with a lawyer. He suggested we do it through the paternity test, through the court and all of that. And that sounded great, right? Well, over the next few days, husband got more and more depressed. He started trying to get me to entertain the idea of minimizing mother-in-law's actions and chalking up her behavior as old age. And while I am aware she is older, she's pretty sound-minded. So I told him that she will be getting full screenings for her mental health when we go to court, and that while yes, she's old, she doesn't get to assault me and accuse me of horrible things and use her age as an excuse. I'm nearing my induction day because baby girl isn't making her entrance, and I find out that husband has been talking to father-in-law and mother-in-law behind my back. We get in a big fight, and he tells me he still wants his mom to meet her granddaughter.
What?
She almost didn't get to have a second granddaughter.
So, like, what kind of rose-colored glasses that are just torn off?
Yeah, I can't even. I mean, we don't know the history of this family, if it was, like, abusive growing up.
Yeah.
But to me, that's one of those, I recognize that behavior of kind of trying to cover over the abuse to just move on because it's easier.
Yes.
And this is what he's trying to do. But at the same time, and it's interesting because it says he gets depressed. So he's thinking about this and he's having trouble dealing with something.
Yeah.
Exactly what, I'm not sure. Yeah. But at the same time, she still has not had this baby yet. Like, take a break.
Yeah.
Like, let's get this baby out. Let her have the baby. Focus on that.
Like, this guy's so wrapped up in himself, and his whole family's just wrapped up in themselves.
Yeah, and she's
just trying to hold it together to have a baby.
I think so. Like, I think at some point the baby's health needs to be the focus here.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I understand that this is really recent and it's the topic of conversation because it just happened a week or two ago. Mm-hmm. And it's a huge jolt in their lives. But they shouldn't be making this decision right now.
Yes. Well, on that note, so they get in a big fight and he tells our OP that he still wants his mom to meet the granddaughter, and once the baby's here, we can resume the legal issues. And so OP starts crying at this point and because she thought that he was supporting her through all of this. In reality, he caved in less than 4 days to his mom from all of this. So there's 4 days difference from getting the restraining order, 4 days only. That's how long he was mad.
It's really weird because they cut her off for months earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, they moved and
something that was said that changed his mind.
Yeah, yes. For sure.
I think that his mom has been manipulating him his entire life.
Oh, yeah.
And knows exactly what to say and just there's these self-fulfilling prophecies that they can create, right? So they can say, I bet you she's going to say this and do this. And then when she falls into that trap, just unknowingly, it proves something that mother-in-law was right, and husband starts, starts seeing things through mother-in-law's eyes rather than in reality.
Maybe.
Because of this deep-rooted, like want to believe that his mom isn't a terrible person, probably. Who knows?
So what happens?
So the restraining order hasn't been approved yet, so mother-in-law can be baby girl number 2 before we get approved without breaking any rules. That's what his arguments are. So all OP could do was shake her head and cry. She put her foot down and said, absolutely not. I couldn't believe he let his mom around me or the baby after she could have killed one of us. He said that I was overreacting and the baby was not injured and she wasn't actually trying to hurt the baby, just me.
Oh, so it's okay for her to be with you then?
It's okay for her to beat the shit out of your wife, just not your kid.
Yeah.
She kicked my very pregnant belly repeatedly, and she threw a fucking snow globe at my head. We got in a huge fight about me not forgiving her and holding grudges, and he became being unreasonable. He became very unreasonable, and eventually he left. Where did he go?
Mom.
He went back to his mommy. Yeah.
I cannot.
Yeah. He then called me. Okay, get ready to eye roll, the biggest eye roll you ever have eye rolled. All right? He called me sobbing and told me that if I could see his mom right now, I'd understand.
I feel like I'm going to gag a bit.
Apparently, yeah. Apparently, when he pushed her while she was assaulting me, he indeed broke 2 of her fingers and she sprained her neck.
Oh.
And when she fell back into the shelving unit, that's when that happened. And now she's laid up on the sofa in her living room and she cannot walk. She is in, most of all, a severe depression.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's because she's still in her toxic mind thinking everything is her daughter-in-law's fault.
Yeah.
She broke 2 fingers. What do you mean? What does she mean? She can't walk.
Sprained her neck.
But so she can't walk.
Apparently.
I don't
Okay.
use my
Is she wearing
neck or my
diapers? Like, what's
fingers
happening
to
here?
walk. Like, I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah. Her husband told her she should feel awful.
Oh, yeah.
And the least I could do for her is let her meet her new grandchild and then figure out where to go from there.
Barf.
Yeah, so OP is really infuriated at this point because not only has he retreated to his mom's house, he left me alone with the oldest daughter, who is 2, while I'm supposed to be on bed rest.
Oh, yeah.
Just the total selfishness here.
Yeah.
She has stitches in her head.
Still, like, the stitches aren't even out. That's what I was thinking.
And an 8-pound baby in her uterus.
Yeah.
And who is refusing to come out, and she's exhausted. He doesn't come home for the next, guess how many days? 4 days, until she's supposed to check into the hospital for her scheduled induction. So he comes home for that. My sister comes to stay to watch the oldest daughter. The husband takes her to the hospital, and she gets an induction. They set it up, and they're poking around with things, shoving arms up where they don't belong, plumbing me with Pitocin, which is basically the drug to make you have a baby. And then while waiting to see if the baby will come, he sat in the room on his tablet and was cold and grumpy. She was cold and grumpy to him as well. And he still wasn't acknowledging, like they weren't acknowledging each other very much. Finally, she started to progress with her labor. And while things were going well, baby started to move down. She's nearing the point where she was about to push out this baby. And he ended up putting his tablet away finally and tried to get more involved at that point. So she's like, I'm not going to push his support away. At this point, it was literally just trying to push a baby out with no drugs because she didn't have any drugs. And finally, when the baby started to crown, the husband looks at the baby's head and looks at the nurse standing next to the doctor and says, so when can we do the paternity test?
What a dick. I can't even.
The baby hasn't even come out yet.
Just the head of the baby is there. And he's like, so about the paternity
Which is
test.
like the most painful part. Oh, so selfish. Wow.
Right? So I stopped mid-pushed, looked at my husband and screamed, what the fuck? The nurse was silent, looking back and forth between me and me and my husband. The doctor then looks at the husband and says, sir, we are here to deliver and take care of babies. If you have other personal relationship issues, you need to figure that out afterwards. We
Good
focus
job.
on baby and mom. This is not the place to ask questions like that.
That's right.
I immediately start crying hysterically and babbling stuff like, it's not like that. It's his baby. His mom is a psycho and stuff. I am fucking mortified. And the thought that these nurses and doctor now think that there's a chance my baby isn't my husband's is now, no, there's no way that I can explain the situation to them. It has taken forever for me to even read this out to you. How is she supposed to explain that to the doctor and the nurse within seconds of her having a baby?
Well, and the head is right there. Like, that's the most painful part.
Yes. And just the emotions that she's going to be going through about to be giving birth And yeah, she says here that she feels robbed of a beautiful moment. And you remember the birth. If you've been to a birth, you remember the birth of that baby being born. And she's going to remember that moment for the rest of her life. When she's going to be talking to her daughter about her birth, I've asked my mom, I've asked like what it was like or whatever. And she's going to have to say the nicest things to her daughter, but remember exactly what happened. And that's terrible. So she said, my mind completely shut down. And the short time between crowning and when the baby comes out, I ended up taking an extremely long time after that because of how distraught she was. She was so angry at her husband, and I asked him how he could do that to me, how he could ask me in front of the doctor and the nurses. And he knows it's his daughter, and it was my idea to do the test in the first place. Like, she's trying to ask him all this while she's about to have a baby. And then she couldn't look at her husband, and I hate to admit this, but I wouldn't let him hold her after.
I would have kicked him out of the room, honestly.
Yeah. I would have said, get the fuck out. Yeah. Crazy.
That is like an ultimate betrayal.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
So when she refused to let him hold the baby, he left. He comes back in about an hour later. And do you think this man was going to apologize?
No.
No, he
Not a
said,
chance.
my mom just wanted some pictures of the baby. So he took out his phone.
Without her consent?
And I smacked it out of his hand.
Yeah,
He got angry and left. Like, I'm just back, not to apologize, but to take pictures for my mom. Not even for himself.
So that the mom could be like, that doesn't look like you.
Right?
That's not your baby.
She's a whore. Like,
They've already had that conversation. I don't think it looks like me. Oh, show me some pictures.
Yeah.
exactly. That's exactly what happened within that hour. In my state, you have to take the baby back in 2 days after being home to do tests and check up to make sure baby is maintaining weight and that there is no obvious signs of neglect. So we took her in for the check and went to a clinic to do the paternity test the same day.
Good.
The next few days at home were awful. I can't even look at him, and he has avoided being around me or the baby for days. So he takes her to appointments, I guess, and then he leaves. He has barely even looked at her and is practically ignoring our oldest daughter now.
Oh.
We got into a fight because I was trying to breastfeed the baby, and my oldest daughter was crying because Netflix wasn't working, and I started crying because I was so overwhelmed, and he just looked at our daughter and said, Mommy didn't pay the Netflix bill because she's mad at Grandma.
What a jerk.
Yep. I yell at him, don't say crap like that to a child. He said he just thought I didn't pay it because his mom uses our account at her house. I just forgot to pay it. To be honest with you, it had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, she's been busy.
Yeah, she's been having a fucking baby.
And being assaulted.
And being assaulted in the hospital, on bed rest, all of the above, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Anyways, so she's like, I know I'm dealing with crazy hormones and it's a crazy patch, but I seriously considered telling him I wanted a divorce right there and then. He left, and I tried to do my best to cool off, but I couldn't. Have I actually convinced myself I want a divorce over his behavior, or am I going crazy? I just don't know what to do. Is this enough to consider leaving him? At this point, what do you guys think? Also, just I want to add one thing. Okay, so throughout the last couple of days in this, the husband has said multiple things to the daughter that are like disparaging about the wife.
Oh.
So is it enough to consider divorcing it?
Yes.
Yes.
Immediately, yes. You can't.
She's just had a baby, so even if she doesn't have the gumption to divorce at this moment, I would ask him to leave.
Yeah, he has to go.
Hopefully she's got some family support through
The sister,
her family.
and the sister that's been helping out.
Yeah. Because I don't think he should be around.
No. I mean, he's potentially dangerous. A danger of taking the other daughter to the grandma, at least.
Yeah.
He's so wrapped around this mother-in-law's finger.
How long does this paternity test take?
So 3 days later, the paternity test comes in. And for anyone who ever doubted, y'all can ride to mother-in-law to Crazy Town, she says. He is the father. He cried and told me he never doubted it.
Oh.
Okay, there's the eye roll. I think I just gave myself a concussion. Like, give me a break. I still would divorce him.
Doubted it, Nicole? His actions don't prove that at all.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. Yeah. And I'm going to read out.
Mad.
Read out. Please read out.
I'm going to read out to you. This poor fellow.
Oh, he wrote his rebuttal.
No, just wait. This is what happened, what he said to her, and then we'll get into we'll get into a little bit more. So he said he never doubted it, and he knew he was the dad. I told him that, so this is still OP. I told him that we would do a second test on our oldest daughter, because the oldest daughter hasn't been done yet, and that I was going to start packing our stuff, and I was going to move in with my sister. He bawled and bawled and said that he didn't need one for our oldest daughter. I demanded to take one, and I wanted it as proof for court whenever we get to have my case heard. And I told him that I never cheated on anyone in my life, and including him, and how much it hurt me that he said that he, in the hospital room, made the nurses and doctors made them doubt that their daughter was his at all, and made her feel like they looked at her that way. He tried to apologize and hug me, but I pushed him away and told him he should leave while I packed up my stuff.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out, dude. I mean, she's leaving. I get that.
Probably much safer.
So, yeah.
Like being away.
Yeah.
So she packed up her daughter, herself, and her newborn and went to stay at her sister's house. And he has told me he refuses to take the second paternity test for the oldest daughter. And he's going to make his mom write out a long apology letter to her to make it all better.
Oh, that'll help.
Yeah. He wants me to come home, but I just can't even look at him the same. Then she says, I'm going to give myself a few weeks. But is this enough to justify divorce throughout this? This poor woman is just like, is this enough for me to divorce him? Like, is this enough? Can I be done?
It was enough a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was enough.
And the truth is, like, I mean, actually, all of this has happened over the space of 2 weeks.
Yes.
So, I mean, yes, separate. I would be leaning hard towards divorce. But honestly, it's the next couple of months that are really going to tell, like, if he changes.
Yeah.
You know, while they're going through, and she can still start the process if she wants to. But he's, what's his behavior going to look like after all of this? Because he's got to deal with this enmeshment with his mom.
Yeah.
And the fact that he believed her, he's got to really own up to it. He has to just stop sobbing like a baby boy, and feeling bad for everything. Yeah, everybody feels bad. Make it right.
Yeah,
What's that going to
exactly.
look like?
Yeah,
you
what-
know?
Exactly.
What does making it right look like?
And my sobbing like a baby boy doesn't mean that men can't cry, but there's that manipulative crying that tries to make you
Feel bad for
just
them.
feel bad for them
It's the
without
alligator
them.
tears. Alligator tears is
without
what I call
them.
those.
Yeah.
Men and women do this. That crying to make you let it go without actually an apology or making it right.
Or
Yeah.
like giving, that's exactly it. Alligator tears, exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, this man is just, I don't know, his whole side of the family, including him, can just
Fly a
get the
kite.
fuck out of there. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like an update from July 26, 2020. So this is, and she says, long story short, I, 27 female, gave my husband, 31 male, divorce papers,
Okay.
ladies.
Okay.
3 months ago. And he refuses to see our babies since, and is saying that I'll be a single mom if I go through with it.
Oh, so there's his character showing through right there.
Yeah.
There's his character showing through, right?
Yep.
So he hasn't changed. This is the real him.
This.
It's just threats and ultimatums.
Yep. He left me with both of our girls the day after I gave birth to our youngest one to go stay with his mom, said nasty, hurtful things to our toddler, and used our new baby as leverage to guilt trip me into asking for leniency on his mom's assault hearing towards me. So she's really concerned about his behavior, which I think is very interesting that she's mentioning this, because it's just so much that we didn't really say much, but it's really messed up that he went from a loving, amazing father who would choose, remember at the beginning I said
choose his daughter over anybody.
over anybody, 10 out of
Yeah.
10. He flipped so fast to treating her like garbage over a few weeks.
I feel like it had something to do with how he pushed her. She was able to utilize that moment in time to manipulate him into feeling like he was in the wrong. He messed up, and so he's trying to make it right for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, he can't. You can't. There's no way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like when crisis comes, your true personality comes
Yeah.
through. And the truth is, a different person, a different husband, a different man could have handled this differently. Even if you had doubts, he could still treat her respectfully.
Yeah.
Even after they were separated, he could have done things respectfully
Yeah.
instead of issuing more ultimatums.
So, and the things that he called her, this is how horrendous this man was. He said he called her a whiny brat, annoying toad. This is particularly upsetting because she's terrified of frogs and toads. He told her to go to your mom whenever she was upset or crying or hurt, or told her things were all my fault, or that mommy hates me and grandma, so you don't get to come with me, and refused to even hold our newborn and avoided looking at her. Prior to this all happening, she was his princess, his baby girl, his sweetheart, and she's only 2.5. So she doesn't understand grasp the mean stuff that he said, but it still showed as a huge change in her. It still created a huge change within her personality.
Of course.
Poor baby.
No ability to process that.
No. So this little girl started putting herself in timeouts when he would leave because she thought she did something wrong.
Aww.
And started to say sorry whenever he was around for no reason. She started having big tantrums and acting out of nowhere. And I do think she understood so she thinks that she may not understand fully the things that he was saying to her, but the inclination behind them obviously got through to this kid. So she basically said to him, like, one of the reasons she wants a divorce is mistreatment. Even if you don't think the toddler can understand what you were saying, it's disgusting that you would say those things to her. He needs to get over himself, basically.
My heart just breaks for that little girl.
Yeah.
Like, breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then she says, now it's been almost 4 months since we got the paternity test, and he's been trying to win me back ever since. But I have told him that I just don't love him after the way he treated our kids over his mom's ridiculous accusations.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah. Moving forward, September 6, 2022. I'm pregnant and my ex-husband is going to lose his mind. Advice on how to navigate.
Oh.
My ex-husband and I have been divorced officially for 22 months. Our marriage imploded after our second daughter was born. Whole history she goes into. After we divorced, I got really close with a long-term friend from college. He told me he always had feelings for me, but we were always in relationships with other people and the timing never worked. So I'll fast forward. We've been dating for 16 months, engaged for 4 months. He proposed to me on our 1-year anniversary, and he's known my girls their whole lives.
Aw.
It's been a long time since I've been this happy. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You get my applause
amazing.
too. Yeah.
Amazing. I am glad things are working out for you, OP. Well, I am 16 weeks pregnant, and we just found out we are having a baby boy. I haven't told my ex-husband yet, and I just kind of figured he'd get the idea when I'm visibly pregnant.
Why not?
We'll start telling the girls in the next few weeks. I know, obviously, that we have to address the situation with my ex. I know he's going to ask if we are having a girl or a boy, and if I'm unprepared on how he will react about it being a boy. Or more realistically, how to navigate the situation when he does eventually find out the baby is a boy. I can guarantee his reaction will be bad. I just don't know if it's better to announce that we are having a baby boy now or after he's born.
What's really sad is he's still that guy.
Yep.
So explosive that even though she's not even really in contact with him except for the kids, she has to navigate this.
Yes. I mean, also amazing that her partner is supportive and just supporting her through that, it seems like.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes.
I was like getting a little choked up there.
I love that the kids are fairly close in age too. Like,
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like a 10-year difference
Yeah.
or whatever, you know, like they're, but it's crazy.
Yeah. So, on September 20th of 2022,
Okay.
the husband makes a post on Reddit.
Here it is.
I
I've been
want-
waiting for this.
His title is, I want my pregnant ex-wife and family back.
This is like such a soap opera.
Oh my God. He says, full disclosure, I fucked up bad, and I know that. 2 years ago, me and my ex-wife welcomed our second daughter into the world. My mom put thoughts into my head about the paternity of my girls shortly before their birth. In my family, only boys have been born on my side for several generations. I thought my parents and now my ex-wife got along well, but it all exploded when we were expecting our second daughter. My wife told me that my mom has been implying that she cheated for a long time and made nasty digs at her when I wasn't present, but she didn't tell me because she thought I'd side with my mom. In hindsight, she was actually right. I did let my mom get to me, and my relationship exploded. I went through a shitty time where I wasn't being a good dad. Every time I'd see my girls, I'd find things that would convince me that they weren't mine. I went on to stay with my parents after a nasty fight between my wife and my mom. And I know it was a huge mistake. And that ended my relationship. My wife insisted on a paternity test to prove it. And I just knew that there was no way she cheated. I begged for her not to do the tests, but she was adamant to do them. After the test, she told me that she just couldn't look at me the same after. I sided with my mom and she didn't love me the same way anymore. I went down a spiral and refused the divorce and said that if she hated me that much, I'd just sign away my rights to the kids and she could go be a single mom if she felt that way. And I know that was wrong.
Okay.
We did get a divorce 3 months later, and it's been 2 years now. I see my girls every weekend and I pick up the oldest from daycare 3 days a week. Things have gotten a lot better and I feel like we have a good co-parenting relationship going on, but there's still this wall that she keeps up around me.
What a surprise.
Poor you.
I wonder why.
Because she's moved on. Moved on.
Well, my ex-wife is engaged to the guy she's been dating for a year, and I've been seeing my new girlfriend off and on for 7 months.
Off and on.
Yes. I just found out that my ex-wife is pregnant. And I asked if she knew the gender yet. She said, yes, it's a boy. This is me ripping the Band-Aid off. If you need time to process that, I understand. I was shocked. She said it with zero emotion and walked inside with my daughter and closed the door in my face.
Oh.
I feel like I'm watching a bad movie play out where some guy gets to play house with my family and I'm a total outsider. My girlfriend has been talking about marriage and kids and I'm nowhere near ready to even think about that with her. I'm starting to feel like I want my old life back. I got really drunk last night and tried to call my ex-wife, but she didn't answer. I'm glad she didn't because I would have said some really stupid stuff. Take me back. Let's give our family another chance. I'd even take her new baby as my own. This is so stupid. I know it's pathetic and I know it's all my fault. I just don't know how to go about this. I have to pretend I'm okay with this, and I don't even know how I can interact with her without spilling my heart out and my desires. Edit, I just want everybody to know that I cut off my mom 8 months ago, and it was brutal when I did so. She knows that I regret ever listening to her BS, and she no longer is a part of my life. It was her or my kids, and I chose my kids. He's so proud of himself. You all act like I dropped my girls off in the side of the road, but I'm still actively involved with my children. These are edits after he got fucking ripped to shreds.
Okay, I believe he got ripped to shreds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Edit number 2. So that was the first edit. Edit number 2. I'm looking into therapy, but you guys act like a shrink will make me magically stop loving her. Signing out for a while because some of you are huge assholes. Thanks.
No, a shrink
Done.
might actually help you do some real growth and introspection.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I just,
What a roller coaster.
Like, that was quite the roller coaster. And
I know it was long, but was it worth it?
It was
Yes.
worth it. I am so proud of her for living her life and not allowing it to, like, take her into a deep depression where it affects the children. And
Yeah.
because it could have.
Like, what
It
a
really
tale of
could have.
overcoming.
It is, yeah.
And being
Yeah.
strong and, and doing the right thing for your kids and for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was an extremely dangerous situation.
Yes.
The whole thing is scary. It's torturous for her.
Let's talk about that. Like the danger that she was in, that the toddler was in, and that the newborn was in, just because he kept capitulating to the mother-in-law. He wasn't caring for the newborn. What if something happened in the middle of the night and she didn't hear and he did and he just ignored it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if he let that grandmother in? She's already proven she's unstable. What if she did something to the children?
Well, he already
or to her.
Yeah, like he had already said, I want her to see the new grandbaby.
Yeah.
And that was just like
in the hospital.
In the hospital. And that was just within days of her throwing
Yeah.
a thing at her head and
Kicking
she
her
needs
stomach.
stitches, kicking her stomach, and also talking about how she didn't like the older daughter.
Yeah, and
Yeah, she called her a brat.
like
right?
when you're
Like-
in an abusive relationship, sometimes you can't see how abusive it is.
Yeah.
And I think that's why she kept saying, is this enough to divorce him?
Yeah.
But I
Yes.
don't think she really saw the danger she was in. Looking back, she might, but the rest of
for
us from the outside can see.
For sure. Especially
Yeah.
after, like,
Yeah.
hearing other people talk to her when she tells those stories,
Yeah.
I think it would have
The
opened
feedback
her
that
eyes.
she probably gets is
Yeah.
like, people are like, oh my
I don't know
gosh,
how
I'm
you
so
waited
glad.
so long. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know how you had a second
Yeah.
child with that man, you know?
exactly.
That type of thing. Like, that's really, really scary.
Well, and I mean, if her mom or his mom is so outwardly saying this, the little comments to OP, what is the fucking chances that she has not said anything to her son or her husband behind OP's back?
Yeah, and he's kept it quiet
He's
too.
kept it quiet too.
yeah.
One thing I noticed was that they said she often would write, like, we started yelling at each other. So he might have been a loving father, but they did not have a stable relationship.
No.
There was a lot of yelling in that
Contention.
relationship
Yeah.
before because she just took it for granted
Yeah.
that you yell at each other.
Yeah.
You know, when you
Yeah.
fight.
You
Yeah.
can definitely see, and I do want to say, like, I definitely, like, it's a very long thread. I condensed a lot of it. She goes on and more into detail about different abusive things that he did to her, and abusive things. Like, I included a lot of it, but not all of it. And so if you want to read it, you can. But the gist is here.
Yeah.
And so it's just, yeah, you're right. Like, you don't necessarily see when you're in that situation, but it's when you're looking back at it, and as you unpack, as you are doing things randomly, and in the back of your mind you're unpacking your life and the situations you've been in, especially when you've been in such a heavy situation like that. I think you may realize, OP, you know, that it was extremely scary.
Yeah. And I personally, I was in an abusive relationship for about 3.5 years, and it's scary to get out of it.
Yeah.
It is.
You know, like they make you feel like you're the problem,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
And then that she was able to leave that first time and stay leaving. You know, I was not able to do that in mine.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
it's
Like,
hard.
on average, it takes people 7 attempts
Yeah.
to leave a relationship
Thank you.
when it's abusive.
Yeah.
And I mean, each of us here have been in an abusive relationship of different degrees. And I think it's just so difficult when you're in that situation to fully grasp how bad it is. And it's just so heartbreaking that when you actually read through this, she's talking about how supportive he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's trying to convince herself.
That's
Well,
exactly what it is.
And that's the thing. Like, I wonder if she goes back and reads those original posts.
Oh, she's probably grown so hard.
And
like,
she's probably like, oh, but all these other things. Yeah, maybe he did love his kids. And maybe he is a decent co-parent now. But, you know, she probably thinks back at the contentiousness of their relationship.
Yeah.
Like, I recently read somewhere, the study shows that healthy couples and unhealthy couples disagree just as much. It's how you disagree, you know? And she probably
Yeah.
thinks back to that and just thinks, oh, I'm so glad I'm done.
and like comparing maybe her new relationship
Yeah.
to her old one.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot. Oh, we got a little puppy barking. Chewy, it's okay.
She was like, I agree.
He agrees. I think also, oh, Chewy, you derailed my thoughts.
He's so rude.
That's okay, Chewy. You're cute. We'll forgive you.
Yeah.
He's saying, fuck that guy. Oh, I was thinking, each of us, I already know, because you've been in an abusive relationship before, when you're explaining a situation and you don't want to get into everything that's going on, or have them possibly go into a direction that you're not ready to go in, right? So you save face
Yeah.
by explaining, no, he was supportive or whatever. But this thing is what I'm wondering about, because you're not ready to deal with that other stuff. So I think that some of that, where she's talking about how supportive he is, how much she loves this man, all of
Yeah.
that is saving face from maybe situations.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't necessarily, now looking at the whole situation, you can definitely see
Yeah.
that he probably wasn't as supportive as
Well,
what
his-
she was hoping.
His very
In
self-centered post kind of clinches it. You know?
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, God.
He comes in just enough to, like, reiterate everything we were feeling.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, okay, yeah, so that is who you are.
It
And
was
that's-
the crocodile to your post.
That's exactly
It is. And it's
and
like,
then he's mad at people for sharing their opinions on his side of the story.
Yeah.
You put something online, You have
Welcome
to expect people
to
are going to
feedback.
have an opinion.
Like, welcome to being a single mom.
Yeah.
If you divorce me,
Right?
like, why threaten her with a good time? Seriously.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. Okay, some of the top comments, if you want to hear one of those.
Yeah.
This person says, oof. What an absolute moron.
Yeah.
OOP is better, way better off without him, and glad she stood up for herself and her daughters and left him. Hopefully this new guy will continue to treat her and her children the way they fucking deserve. Yep. And it's hard to believe. They also say it's hard to believe that if he had no idea that he had no idea how his mom felt until the second baby.
There's no way.
There's no way. That's a lie. Yeah, and as if somebody else says, as if she hasn't basically been a single mom the whole time through this whole battle.
Yeah.
He was gone and wasn't even visiting the kids for long stretches of time. And another thing they're commenting is about the parental alienation. Yeah, trying to paint OOP, so the original poster, as the villain and forcing him out of the home to the daughter.
No.
You can't come with me because mommy hates granny. That stuff that he said.
Oh, it's just so awful.
You can watch Netflix because mommy is angry at granny.
And that has permanently affected this little girl who puts herself into timeout.
Yeah, fuck you. This dude, I swear, there should be some sort of mental castration that happens to morons like this.
And verbal castration.
Yeah, I mean, cut out their tongues.
There
or
should be
something.
like a limit on words you could say.
This man should not have any more children.
Yeah.
No. And my thought too is like, does his current on and off girlfriend know that he wants his ex-wife back this bad and like wants
No.
his life back and wants to take on her new child as his own? Because I'm pretty sure that if the girlfriend knew any of that, she would get out of that relationship.
No, she's talking marriage and kids, he said.
Oh, but I'm pretty sure he is. So when you and a previous relationship you had, when you were told as the new girlfriend about the ex-wife, what happened there? You tell me.
Oh, the ex is painted with a terrible brush.
Yes.
Right.
So she's a terrible person and you're amazing and so much better. So she thinks he's only got eyes for her. Meanwhile, he's only thinking about her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
rent free in his head.
Yeah.
The
All day.
ex-wife. Because
All day.
narcissist hates it.
Yeah.
Hate it when the other person's doing well.
Yeah.
They don't want them to be happy. That's for damn sure.
No,
No.
not at all. So also, one other thing that I thought of is she comments a few times and he comments about Chewy. He's very upset at this
He has to
man.
pee.
He might.
No, I think he's just very upset at this fellow. I don't know if you can hear it because our mics are spectacular, but Chewy is like making a lot of like growling noises, like,
Moaning.
moaning, like he's
Moaning
just
like the ex-husband. Oh.
exactly.
Yeah, literally.
Anyway,
he wants to sus meter this himself.
Yes.
yes.
Chewy groan.
So anyway, she comments and he comments about how he gets really drunk and then makes like, oh, I'm glad I didn't call her or whatever. And oh, he got really drunk. And so she comments about that. I have serious wonders if this guy's also possibly an alcoholic.
Maybe.
He could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He very well could be.
And like,
Especially being able to be manipulated too. Like sometimes, if you are a substance abuse person, you can be susceptible to what people
Yeah.
are saying. to
Certainly,
you.
definitely a bad home life.
Yeah.
yes.
Would contribute to that.
Yeah. So any other ideas on this topic?
I want to laugh at this man,
Right.
and I don't know.
Yeah. Where would you put this? Okay, so let's break this up here. First part of the situation before she breaks up with husband and just the mother-in-law side. Where is she? What is she on the sus meter?
Okay, so mother-in-law has actually attempted bodily harm.
Yes.
I put that as top.
What the sus?
What the sus?
Yeah, I would agree
What
with
the
that.
sus?
What the sus is wrong with
Like
this
she
mother-in-law?
actually assaulted someone.
She was trying to
and an
make that
unborn
baby,
baby.
not get born.
Yeah, she was trying to kill the baby. I believe it. I believe it in that moment.
Yeah.
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 That's
so
why
do you-
she suggested that the other kids stay home with a babysitter. She knew what was going to happen that day.
potentially. I
Yeah.
think she knew that.
It was
I don't
gonna
think
get
she could have
physical.
imagined that.
I don't think she imagined that, but I think she knew that the potential of the mother-in-law saying disparaging things was really high because
Yeah.
she's already done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So mother-in-law, what the sus? Husband, no, let's do father-in-law. What is he?
Father-in-law, I'd say, is sketchy because he lied for his wife.
But
First
he's
of all,
gone along with this.
Like,
the
he's gone-
entire
he's-
time.
He's a sketchy coward is what he is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's like,
Yeah.
he's just sort of this sideshow. At least he came up with the truth,
Yeah.
but only when the police pressured him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's sketchy, maybe.
I think,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he wanted her to drop the charges.
yes.
Right.
Yeah. No, I would put him a definite sketchy.
He is
Yeah.
definitely sketchy.
There's no
Sketchy.
green there.
No.
I think he's majorly sus. Like, personally, I think he's pretty majorly sus. Like, he's not as bad as a mother-in-law, but he's really close.
Yeah.
I just don't think he has enough power to be majorly sus.
I just think it's majorly sus that he literally didn't stop a pregnant woman from being brutally attacked.
There is
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So-
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hold
Yeah.
that against him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
I swung into my vote.
Yes, you did.
All right, and let's talk about the ex-husband.
See, this is where. Okay, so this is why I would have put the father-in-law as sketchy because I put the ex-husband as majorly sus. He has.
I put him as what the sus?
I mean,
He's so deluded. He's such a moron.
yes, but he didn't actually physically assault anyone. I guess that's the bar in this story.
No.
You're right. He's what the sus. Because even if he didn't physically assault her, like the stuff he did, the emotional trauma he put her through, the things that he did to the kids,
He
totally
only- yeah.
unconscionable.
Yeah.
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 He didn't protect his wife, and like he only showed up for her a little bit, like kind of the bare minimum for only a short period of time, and then he
He
just
let
jumped off the deep
Yeah.
end, you know,
Yeah.
like asking her while she's crowning when they can do the paternity
can't
test. Like
even-
that is absolutely like you can't come back from that.
Well, no, and
The
it was
thing-
clearly, I feel like it was pre-thought out.
it was for sure pre-thought out. He's like, oh, the baby's
just
basically
maximum
here.
hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I mean, there's the stuff that happened in the delivery room. There's, yes, Chewy. So there's the stuff that happened in the delivery room. There's the terrible, terrible way that he treated his oldest daughter.
Oh.
And to the effect that she was, again, putting herself in timeout and has been severely impacted by his words.
Yeah.
And not understanding what's going on. I think what the sus, like, I think that
Yeah.
CPS should have been called. I don't even know if I would agree that he should have as much
Access.
custody as he has. Because she says previously, I don't understand how this man can go from calling this little girl his princess, his baby girl, his whatever, to in a snap, he's calling her a frog and a toad, and she's terrified of it. I would worry that would happen again, and I would need assurances from therapists and whatever
Yeah.
that you were going constantly
Yeah.
before I agreed to have my child be alone with you.
Well, and there's that. Like, she may not have had a choice depending on the courts, but
Yeah.
at the same time, like, I definitely see this instability in that family, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I mean, I'm glad. And probably one of those things that he had to do, which he claims he did on his own, was cut his mother out. Like,
But only, like, they were divorced for 22 months, and he cut her out 8 months before
Yes.
that post.
I'm
so
wondering-
he kept her in his life for quite a long time. He only posted the same time she did about the pregnancy.
like he posted not quite the same time. I think it was just shortly after.
Probably, like,
it
she
was like
said-
2 weeks after.
So she said, we've been divorced for 22 months.
Yes.
When she posted. So he posts a couple weeks after. He said, my mom has been out of my life for 8 months. So for over a year, she
After.
was still in his life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Eh.
Jibber jabbering in her ear.
Yeah.
Or in his ear.
Yeah.
Jibber jab. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he's definitely what the sus for me.
Yeah, I
This
think
guy,
really the whole story as a whole.
chemical
what the sus- is what the
castration all the way for him.
sus. Yeah, like,
I don't know
just
about that, but what the sus?
what the.
Oh
sus
no,
for
like
sure.
I don't want him to have children again.
No.
If
I-
he's
I
gonna,
agree
I
with
think he's
that.
got enough. Yeah, I think he doesn't need to. He can deal with what he has now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just not impressed with him at all.
No.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's about it. What the sus all around, I guess, except for
Yes.
the father-in-law and OP. I mean, so glad you got out of that.
That's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Way to go.
Yep. Good job. Anyway, thank you for watching. You can find us on all major platforms where you can hear podcasts, and I don't know,
YouTube and
No, I mean, like, yeah. Do we gotta say what they are? I don't know. If you look on Instagram, we're gonna be posting like the links for the stories, also underneath the thing on YouTube, underneath the video on YouTube, so you can check them out yourself. And then also on, as I was saying, on Instagram, we're gonna be having just a post each episode. Just kind of describing what it's about, so you can check it out there.
Yeah.
Give us your ideas. What did you think about these stories? There's this one that we've talked forever about. There's yours. What was it about? I don't
The
remember.
twins.
Oh yeah, the twins, Irish twins. Have you heard of that? Do you agree? What do you think?
and Julie Hops.
Julie Hops,
Love
69. Jennifer
Yes.
Goodwin, the sweetie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell us what you thought, and let us know what you thought. What sus meter do you put on these people?
Yeah.
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 Well, thank you for watching.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.